this time to proceed towards fireside chats. And this one is on accessibility of healthcare, new paradigm to accessing healthcare services. Please join me in welcoming our panelists or our speakers for the same. Mr. Satish Kannan, founder, MediBuddy. Mr. Sunil Thakur, partner, Quadria Capital. And this fireside chat will be conducted by Mr. Harbinder Narula, CEO, BW Healthcare World and Wellbeing World. Let's welcome them with a very warm and nice round of applause and your smiling faces. Mr. Narula. Oh, please come. Mr. Kannan and Mr. Thakur.
Thank you, Aditya. And this is interesting because while we've been talking about different aspects of healthcare, we can't ignore the newer models that are playing a big role in where healthcare is taking us as a nation. I requested Satish to fly down from Bangalore. He said, can I do it online? I said, no, people would want to see you. So why don't you come? Thank you so much, Satish, for joining us. And so Satish is the founder of and CEO of MediBuddy. And when I was planning this conversation with Satish, I felt that, a journey or a success of a journey is not complete unless you have sustainable business models. And sustainable business models to kickstart and reach a certain level requires money. So money came in from Sunil, who's the partner at Quadria Capital, one of the largest healthcare investors in the country. So my conversation is around how did MediBuddy come along and what is it the role finance plays. So Satish, let me begin with you. When we say MediBuddy is an end-to-end platform, what do you really mean by that?
Yeah. So what I always believe fundamentally that you need to do in any business is follow the customer, right? So now we want to ensure that all people across the country have high quality healthcare accessible to them, and it should be available at their fingertips. Now, when I say end-to-end, when we started the company, we started with providing one service, one very single service, which was a online doctor consultation. You can talk to a doctor on a video call. But I just kept following the customer. So sometimes you can do pretty much 80% of your health issues on a video call, but 20% of the times they wanted to meet the doctor in person because some problems are complicated. So then we launched offline doctor consultation. Then we also had to when the prescriptions came out, they needed medicines. So then we also provided medicines through MediBuddy to the customer. Then they wanted to do blood test, or it can be MRI or ultrasound, which means you need to do diagnostics. So we got that done. So it just kept getting added because when you follow the customer, you need to ensure that you need to provide him a holistic platform all the way from a consultation online or offline, then medicines, diagnostics. And today when they get admitted in a hospital, because around 100 people who go do an OPD, anywhere in the range of 9 to 10 of them would have to get admitted in the hospital because the problem is complicated. So today we also help them with admissions. So we have integrations back to the insurer. We have integrations back into multiple corporates. And then after this is done, home care, mental health became a very big problem a very big need during COVID times. So that is essentially what we mean by end-to-end platform, where everything that a patient would need, and it can be just good information on pregnancy or good information on diabetes or good information on weight management, even that is available for engagement. So end-to-end services with the right engagement metrics on the top of them is how we have built over the last, roughly we're around 9 years now. And that just kept getting added. And that's why today we are sort of an end-to-end platform for the customer.
So when you say you have 300 plus clinics, are these clinics owned by you or?
Oh yeah. So that's another addition that we did 2 years ago. So we did online doctor, we did offline doctor, and then having clinics is somewhere in the middle. So where you're able to sort of think about these as primary care clinics, in the sense you would have generally a general physician, sometimes a specialist would visit twice in a week, which means you're able to have better services and you're able to control the quality. Now, again, this is an asset light model. So we take care of the complete quality and the clinical delivery, the infrastructure as well as, let's say, the rent as well as the infrastructure is provided by somebody else. So it's like a hybrid model where we are able to give better quality care and also have cost under control, because when the cost is under control, the customer finally gets it at a, let's say, reasonable rate, right? So we don't own this. It's a hybrid model that we operate today.
So would it be wrong to say that, you are becoming the Amazon for healthcare industry, where people can go, it's a platform where people can go and list their services and consumers can come and find and consume these services with the promise of quality from MediBuddy?
No, absolutely. I think that that's the real thought process also. Fundamentally, like I told you, right? Today we have, so out of the, when you look at incidence of cancer, today somebody talked about a lot about it. The point is that we get millions of customers through the platform, and then we help roughly 5 million plus consultations alone, which means that many people are just talking to a doctor, and the kind of people that would need all kind of issues, and all of them are very edge cases also. So we do around 1.5% on cancer. The problem for us would be that if I have to build a cancer hospital, it's going to be very, very tough, but we need to work with deep partners who understand cancer very, very well, and then provide right information to them. So if you go back and talk to a lot of customers before this job, before the company I was running, I was working in a company called Philips Healthcare. So I spent a lot of time with doctors, hospitals, patients, operation theaters, and patients travel like 300, 400 kilometers to come to Bangalore or Chennai or Delhi or Bombay. I was in Pune that time. So the key problem is affordability is a problem, but still information about what is to be done when a health issue affects one of your family members is very, very tough. So many times, right information and the right doctor who can solve that problem is very, very critical. So that is why we continue to believe in that model where we'll be a platform and multiple services can be provided. And we also become a partner because a lot of these services are very niche. So somebody was telling, so if you want to find the best neck cancer surgeon, I can help you. But there are going to be like 6 people in India. So somebody else actually had a very serious problem in pediatrics, and there's only 3 doctors in India who can do that. But it's very difficult to find this information on any other platform, but MediBuddy aims to sort of do that. And that's why we work with multiple partners who are very deep. For them, it's a niche. For us, our customers can find niche solutions also, or niche healthcare requirements also on the platform.
I think that's a brilliant use of a long tail concept. So, Satish, how did the journey at MediBuddy start? Did you always plan to be a platform, or has it evolved to be what it is today? And what are the challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur trying to create a new platform in this space?
No, absolutely. I think my mantra remains the same. So when we started, we did not, and this is around 2013, 14 times, might be since COVID, it has become like a big thing, but think like 3-5 years before COVID, right? This is like 2014, 15 is when we really launched the platform. And that time, like all startups do, they always have to identify one small problem and then solve that very, very well, and then build from there. Might be the industry that you have to get into will always be a very large industry. So I was sort of very clear that we will just do healthcare, and I really liked healthcare, so I will continue to be in healthcare. My first job was also in healthcare. So the idea was find a small enough problem, but that has to create a huge impact on the customer. And then when we started, we only did online consultation for rural patients to talk to big city doctors. It's a very simple answer, right? So in Hindi, we used to call it "Bade shahar ke doctor se baat kijiye." Right? That's like the one-liner for my first product, right? Which means we would create marketing only in small towns, and then that would connect them to the big city doctor. It can be Bangalore, Bombay. So there are only 6 cities, and you can easily identify top doctors here to start that. But we started with that, but then that kept building. So we did online for that, then we did offline, then we did medicines, labs, surgeries. So every 2 years, we have sort of added more and more services. And then we recently brought in mental health. So today, we are very proud to say that we are the largest mental health care provider in the country, right? That means the maximum number of psychology counselings on a daily basis is also done on MediBuddy. So that means you're able to help that many more people come out of health issues very, very fast. And from a challenge point of view, I think it's more about there are interesting experiences, because businesses go through different stages, and the team also goes through different stages. So I say that when you're a 10-member team, the kind of challenges are very, very different. Then we became a 100-member team, then a 1,000-member team. So today, MediBuddy is around a 2,400-member team. So it's a pretty big team now in the process. So the kind of work and the challenges that you face are very different at different stages. When it's a 10, 50, 100-member team, I know everybody, they know me. We're all in one room. It's very getting done. Today, we have around 21 offices. So it's very difficult to be in all offices at the same time and very difficult to be able to meet all of them. So it's very important to see the kind of challenges that you face. So day one, culture building is very, very easy because everybody sees you, you see everybody. But today, when you have 2,000 people plus, building culture is very, very tough. And then, of course, there are multiple other challenges that come along in the team and the team building. But when you go back and look at the business, I think what you've always done is you have to ensure that it's, I mean, I heard this from one of my investors from the US. He told, nail it, scale it. So the word means whenever you find a solution, a problem, you do that very, very well, nail it, right? Understand the customer very, very well, solve the problem very, very well, get the experience right, and then you scale it, right? So today, that's exactly why we have been the largest online provider. Today, across the spectrum, the largest amount of diagnostic revenue or diagnostics happens on our platform. I would significantly single largest player in the pharma from an order perspective. So, and then across the spectrum, right? We'll continue to keep scaling. So different challenges at different points of time, but it's like unlocking at every point of growth. And then once you unlock at one level, you'll go to the next level. And at the next level, you have another kind of challenge and you unlock that, you go to the next level.
So nail it and then scale it was an advice you got. So now we know what has worked. Yeah, brilliant advice. Sunil, let me come to you. You are an investor in MediBuddy. Now, when you're looking at medical technologies, when you're talking about medical equipment, but when they are talking about a healthcare platform, something which has not been done before, there is no use case which is available to you. What is it that you look at while investing in a healthcare company with no past experience in that space?
A good question. So generally, when we go about evaluating opportunities, we look at what is the problem that one is solving and how are they solving and who is it solving? Who is the one who's solving it? So these are three things that we evaluate any new business model, business model which is moving into uncharted territory. And therefore, our conviction on what is being solved becomes very, very important. What is the unmet need? What is the TAM or the addressable market? Then we go about how is it being solved? So it has that layer of technology in most of the newer models. It becomes very, very important. But more importantly, going beyond it is that entire execution plan and execution energy, which is very, very important. Because see, some of these business models are very, very simple to, when you have to think about it, they're very simple, right? Anybody, I think most of us can think about it that, what is rocket science and what Satish is trying to do. But, the big differentiator between a successful model and a less successful model is the execution and the execution energy. It is all about hustle. How do you get to that last mile to solve the problem? Nail it and scale it. The right phrase that Satish has used. So that's the second part, the entire execution strategy. And that's a big differentiator. And behind it is that who's doing it or who's executing it. It's the quality of the team, which becomes very, very important. And quality in terms of, a bit of experience, but more importantly, clarity of thought, understanding of risk, having mitigants, and ability to pivot at the right time. See, these are models that are moving in uncharted territories. There's nobody out there who can give you the right formula. In fact, even a successful model in the US may not work in India because the landscape and the challenges are different. So, you start out a journey, in a very informed way, that this is what I'm trying to solve for. This is how I'm going to solve for. These are the potential possible risk. And this is what I can see. I can just see a distance of say 70 meters. Beyond that, as a partner, you and us are within. So together, you need to trust my sort of judgment skill, and more importantly, my pivot skill. So pivot becomes very, very important. That if there are challenges, if we are fumbling on execution, then how do we pivot and move to plan B?
Satish, you're in the digital space. Your primary customer acquisition happens on the internet, right? What is your understanding of the consumer behavior specific to healthcare services being consumed on the internet?
Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll sort of answer this in two parts, right? So there is the statement, right? Even when you look forward and try to crystal ball gaze into what will happen in the future, the first question that people ask me is what changes? I strongly believe the first question that you should ask yourself and everybody else is what will not change? Then also look at what will change, right? These are two broad boxes, and I'll answer on that, right? So when we look at healthcare, what will not change today? It has been like the same yesterday, today, and will continue to be the same 10 years from today, is trust, right? So in healthcare, what happens fundamentally is, because I spend a lot of time, so my first job was in, if people get heart attacks, they rush them to the operation theater, and in OTs, it's called cath lab rooms, and they do angioplasty. They find angiogram, they understand number of, let's say, block, maybe they do a bypass, or they might do a angioplasty, right? So when you're standing there and you're talking to so many of these patients, and it's day in, day out, right? And then, of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm actually an engineer. So I was trying to understand and see how to build these cath lab machines. What you understand fundamentally is when it comes to healthcare and people's family members, what is most important for them is trust. And then ensure that the person that they're getting admitted gets back home safely. So that will continue to remain the same. Now, if it's very interesting, right? At that point of time, if you ask them whether it is 25,000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees, the person on the opposite actually is not worried. Of course, it's very important for us to ensure that we give the right price at the right place for him. But the fundamental thing that will never change in healthcare is trust and strong belief that this doctor or this person or this hospital or this platform will give me the right advice, which will definitely provide the right health advice and which will solve the health issue for me. So that will not change today, tomorrow, 10 years from today, right? Because life of a person, or let's say human life, is very, very valuable, and that will not change. Now, what is going to change? The convenience with which I would like to access these services, the information access to all of this, the way to verify whether it is a trustworthy place. All of these are essentially making sea changes. So yesterday, how would I find out whether I have to do a knee replacement for my mother? What would you do? You would go call your friends, uncle, somebody who knows it. Somebody would have a family member who's a doctor. All of you may not have a doctor in the family, but somebody will have somebody. So one is a lot of reference used to happen. Two people would personally go to 3-4 hospitals. I have seen this happening where they go 2-3 hospitals, meet the doctors, and understand that in the process. So today, what is happening, right? Today, it's very, very easy because you're able to sort of Google or come to platforms like us, understand, read about what is TKR. But you can go to YouTube, you can go to any of them. You can also understand sitting in your, let's say, on a mobile phone, understand doctor ratings, look at hospitals and all of them in the process. Now, then, so that means information as essentially becomes very, very easy for people to get, which was not so easy yesterday. Now, like I told you, even if there is a rare case, you can actually get on the internet and try to find out somebody will be there who's actually solving it, which was not there yesterday. So access to information has become very, very easy. Then convenience has also happened. You can just do a video call today and then talk to the best doctor. So during COVID, I facilitated so many people from India, abroad, from abroad, India, right? So all of this we have done. And of course, depends on who you want to meet and where you want to get to. So summary is information is very, very easy today. That means that is going to change the way people are going to expect convenience. So yesterday, people would get up in the morning and go to the diagnostic center. My father, when he has diabetes, he has to get up in the morning, 6 o'clock, go to the diagnostic center, wait there, give the fasting blood, then come eat breakfast, wait for 2 hours, and then do postpartum, right? Now, today, what's happening? He's at home and the diagnostic comes home. So this is essentially the change in convenience. So today pharmacy comes home, majority of your diagnostic comes home, doctor comes on a video call. That means the number of times you have to visit the hospital reduces. So trust will not change, but information, convenience in which I access, the way I decide will sort of change. And then as long as new age businesses, see, fundamentally business in my mind has been always there, right? It could have been different ways. It's just not that before Amazon came, there were people were not buying shirts, right? They were definitely buying it. They were doing it in a different format, and the way in which it was delivered is different. And today, and it's also need of a society. So that's exactly what would be the change between yesterday and sort of today. And as long as we follow this, I think we're good.
Satish, one last question. We've seen a lot of companies that were into digital healthcare models, pharmacy models, or various other models that the business evolved, like you evolved to be where you are today. A lot of these companies have evolved into backward integration, and they have started becoming service providers themselves, right? You see a lot of it in the surgery space. What is your next step? What is it that MediBuddy might evolve to be? What is your growth strategy?
Yeah. So fundamentally, how we think about growth, and when we think about roadmaps, we think about patient, right? So we, or at least personally, I don't so much think about services. I sort of think about patient and see our customer here, and see what more is going to help him get his healthcare better, and how can we contribute to a better health outcome. Now, that comes with a different, because the lens is different. For me, the lens always is pan-India. For me, the lens always is, let's say, like 1 billion people. So what happens then is, that's also the reason why we work with, I think, 2,000 plus diagnostic centers today. And we are the largest player who works with so many of them. The reason for that is because I need to be able to provide good healthcare all the way in like Jammu Kashmir, then in Arunachal Pradesh, then in Andaman Nicobar. So which means from a structural DNA perspective, we strongly believe in providing a service pan-India, which means we may not necessarily look at going deep on providing each of these services, but more about providing, like I told the first thing, right? You need to be able to identify who is the best diagnostic, or who is the best pharmacist, or who is the best cardiologist in a given location. And then I will help you get to that. And the different, you got, right? There are very, very high quality diagnostics or hospitals or health chains in every pockets, right? In North India, somebody is very strong. In West, even the hospitals, right? North, some hospitals are very, very famous. In West, different hospitals are famous. In South, somebody else is famous, which means to say in that area or in that geography, somebody else is strong. So we strongly believe in being able to help the customer find the right person in that geography. And then that's also the reason why we'll continue to look at pan-India, because when you become a service provider, of course, there are positives and negatives to everything, but like that's what I told, the viewpoint is very important. And for me, pan-India coverage is the first viewpoint, and that hence leads to being a partner to many service providers and not necessarily do the service at the bottom, because each of them requires years of experience, right? So if you have to become a very, very good cardiologist, it'll take you like 20 years. And if you have to become a very, very good genomics expert, it'll take you 20 years, which means to say that we have to just find this right person and give it to the right patient. That's exactly what we believe at MediBuddy.
Thank you so much, Satish. Thank you so much, Sunil, for your time and sharing your perspective on MediBuddy, looking at MediBuddy going to the next level.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.